something might spark something else. And so it's sort of open. No, I like that. That's good.
Dude, that was you know, have you ever seen those podcasts where they're like, I don't know how much podcasts you listen to, or watch, but they have like a computer, and they're like, or a notepad, you know, and they answer, and then they're like, oh yeah, okay, and they're like,
right, no,
so I wanted to ask you, and then they read off their question. Yeah. I just never wanted it to be that way.
It's like a comedian or somebody or somebody reading off of a board to do an advertisement or something like that. You know, cue cards or something.
Yeah, exactly. And so I've sometimes we'll get so drunk and like I'm pretty ADD. Like the one that we did, we like just I'm going and then like we have a subject and I'm like I have to pee. I was like, okay, we gotta remember this for when we get back.
Yeah.
And then when I'm editing it, when we got back, we totally forgot what the thing was.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And then we just like missed the whole point of where we were going. But like that's just kind of how my brain goes anyway. It's just
and that's totally fine. But it's funny to look back on that. And realize that didn't go back. So.
Dude, I'm so stoked you're on.
Yeah, I'm psyched to be here. Yeah.
So I met you a Hap Hap. You were friends with. Did you know Jeremy before Hap Hap?
Off and on. We hung out a little bit, messed around with some music, and that's about it. Just a sort of casual friendship.
Yeah.
With some karaoke, stuff like that.
Yeah. Do you ever go to the O?
Yes.
Dude,
definitely.
That's like my favorite.
Definitely, yes.
Well, I guess if you're in the North End, you would be. Do you hit like 44 or Terry's at all?
Not so much. I tend to seek out the downtown spots that are doing it now, and especially the Shrine.
They're doing
Wednesday,
it now.
Every Wednesday. I think Lost Grove's doing it. Balcony's doing it.
Really?
Downtown spots I can walk to or bike to.
Yeah.
Certainly.
Did you ever do Granny's on Mondays?
No, I never did.
I don't know if they're still doing it. Yeah. Do you know who Viet is, little Asian kid?
Mm-mm.
I met him at Granny's, but he now does. I know he does Jim's Alibi, like he's a KJ or whatever you call it. But I know he does there. I think he does another spot. Yeah, it's kind of getting like bigger and bigger, but I didn't know there were so many downtown spots.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and then at the Shrine, there are sound techs that do the concerts too, so they make sure that the sound is good. So that's helpful because when you've done karaoke somewhere and the sound isn't great, or you feel like you sound like shit,
Yeah.
And then you go and do it somewhere like that, and it sounds great, and so it boosts your confidence,
Yeah. Have you ever one time I think I was doing like Granny's, but I did this killer song and I like couldn't hear, I couldn't hear my vocal and like in the wedge or whatever. But I could hear the music and I start singing, and about like when I hit the chorus, I realized it was like a key lower than what it was. And I felt so embarrassed because I do sing, but I was like, whoa, and then you like raise it and you finally get there. But that fucked up my whole song because then I wasn't like, I don't know, in the zone.
I feel that. I understand that. Yeah, I like to do a warm up song.
Yeah.
To make sure I'm feeling comfortable with the audience, and I'll typically I try to do something by the Fugees. So that's my comfort zone. It's
really?
I'll do something by the Fugees. Some Lauryn Hill, something to get me to where I'm feeling comfortable.
Yeah.
Something I can belt out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you do the warm-up song, then you judge the audience.
Yeah.
And then if they're not feeling it, you're like, I'm not doing another song? Or do you feel like you go with one way or the other depending on where the audience is?
Typically I just warm up my voice with that, and I get into key.
Yeah.
And I belt things out and just just engage with the audience, enough to where they recognize me and I feel comfortable going up again.
Yeah,
it's like an introduction, if you will.
Yeah.
It's more of I know I'm going to continue, but this is just one for me to get my voice warmed up and see how I feel about, and especially if I'm in a different karaoke bar somewhere out of town, something like that.
Yeah.
I'll do a warm up song just to make sure that I'm connecting with the audience and such.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I like to do funny things. I like to lay down on the stage and kick my legs up,
Oh, hell yeah.
get on my knees and scream or something like that, with the following songs. But that first one is just kind of I'm up here, I'm going to sing for you guys. So how do you guys feel about me?
Yeah. So you're like gauge. That's pretty funny, actually. Yeah, because I have gotten pretty wild, but it's only if I'm fucking trashed that I like can do some of that where I get like really engaged. Like I like to walk out into the crowd a little bit, especially if there's a long chord or if they have one of the wireless mics and stuff. And I like singing songs that people know, so they're singing along, so there is engagement. And then I'll go around and be like, give the mic to them and just like a performance.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
But I really only get there if I'm like pretty trashed already.
Really? Yeah. That's fun. I like to be kind of mid trashed, like not like a little bit buzzed, but not so trashed that I forget it or something. I forget the whole experience. So like not blacked out. Yeah. But I feel like engaging the audience is a big part of it, it's a performance. So yeah.
Do you do mostly like upbeat songs, or you do any ballads or slow songs or
I like to have a wide variety. I've done a couple of ballads recently that have gotten a good reception from the audience. I like to do a little bit of Disney, and especially if I'm wearing a pretty dress or something, I'll do a Disney princess song. I did a version of Part of Your World from The Little Mermaid at a company party for Treeford, actually.
Oh, that's fun.
Got a really good reception. And then I'll go so far as doing some 80s screamo. I've done some Skid Row or something where I'm channeling a man voice or like a screamo 80s voice, headbanging, the whole production, and that's gotten a good reception too. Yeah.
When you guys did the Tree Fort party, are you talking about the one when you did up in what's the hot springs?
Not Trinity, although that's coming up next weekend.
Yeah, you did that last year, right?
I did. I went to that last year. The karaoke was at the holiday party that they put on at the shrine. So they did shrine and they did karaoke.
So they do a holiday party and then a holiday like weekend, or like
it is a Tree Fort decompression event.
Okay. Oh, I see. After the festival.
Yeah, it's everybody worked really hard. Everybody.
That's so nice of them.
Take it easy and go relax at the hot springs.
Yeah. We love that place.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Trinity has a magic to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's all its own.
Yeah, Jeremy was telling me that they rented out the spot for like 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
I don't know, it was a year or two ago, but I was like, dude, that's so cool.
Yeah, it was wonderful. Yeah, it really is a beautiful place.
Yeah.
It's good to be appreciated.
Oh yeah, I think every company, I think a lot of companies, should get on board with that, and just do a company decompression event just every year.
Yeah.
I think a lot of companies, it would benefit the employees, even just to get together and relax instead of always being so gung-ho about work all the time. I think it's important.
Yeah, same. We do a company party, like a Christmas party every year. Nice. This year we did ours in March.
Okay.
I was like, I don't think we're having one this year.
Yeah.
And then we did, and I was like, oh, hell yeah. And then we did karaoke.
Nice.
And then a few people that sang, I didn't even know sang. Like you just kind of discover these people that you've been working with that you've never seen them do something of that nature. And like one of my coworkers, Ronnie, she just like gets up and it's like so soulful, like, and kind of sultry voice almost. And like, holy shit, Ronnie, I didn't know you sang. And she's like, I don't. I'm like, yes, you do.
Yeah.
Like, that was good. And then she sang like 3 more after that. We're like, Ronnie,
Nice.
But,
yeah, it's a good way to discover hidden talents, from people you had no idea, you know, that they had this hidden talent that was this beautiful voice, or you know, they love to sing metal and they can scream, they can growl, you know, or whatever the case may be. It's kind of neat to see that come out of them.
Yeah. I guess I didn't even know that you sang. So that's like when you first were like, oh, I'm gonna play music again, and
yes,
I was like, holy shit, I didn't.
Yes, I've been singing. I've been dabbling in songwriting. I've written poetry since I was 15 years old, and so turning some of my poems into songs has been a really fun adventure.
Yeah,
you know, there's definitely a sort of a setup for songs, you know, a template, if you will, for songwriting, you know, which you can deviate from, or you can, you know, you can add a lot more into songs that's outside of poetry. You can add oohs and ahs and different sounds and things, you know, and growls and woos and all kinds of stuff. Songwriting it has its own mystique. It has its own vibe.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And some of those lines that people get addicted to, you know, are how much you ooh and ah, and, you know, some of those catchy tunes.
Yeah.
You know,
It's definitely like it's a very, what are they? They're like brother and sister, like a poem and a song, or maybe cousins.
Yeah.
But they're not always exactly the same. I mean, they could be. Yeah. They also could not be.
Absolutely.
You don't really have a lot of those phonetic things that don't have a lyric in a poem, but you definitely have that added into certain songs, or and then you have the music part of it too.
Absolutely. And the music can carry the tune. I mean, if you think about songs such as you know, I Want You, She's So Heavy by the Beatles, the lyrical part of that is very minimal. It's I want you, I want you so bad. There are literally 2 or 3 lines in the whole thing.
Right.
I want, you know, it goes and it keeps going. And it's the same line, but it's the instrumental that catches, that has people grooving and dancing. And then she's so, you know, it's the instrumental. That's the catchy part. And so people can essentially, you know, you have bands that are writing, that are doing just instrumental. You have bands that are doing a song with maybe one line. That is, that's just a very, it's a line that just hits, and that's it, the whole song. And they're doing instrumental, one line, instrumental, one line.
Yeah.
And you're loving the point that they make.
Yeah. One of my, such a good point. One of my favorite bands is from Iceland.
Okay.
They're called Sigur Rós.
Okay.
And so some of their music they do in Icelandic, but some of their music, the guy Jónsi like makes up his own language, and it's just like phonetic sounds. And so I always thought he was just singing Icelandic, and then I found out he's not really singing anything. He just went with whatever he felt sounded or pulled at him. But like the songs invoke so much emotion, and then to find out there was like, oh yeah, they weren't even saying anything, or sometimes he'll bleed in some Icelandic or he'll bleed in some English, but it was just like where he felt the song going. And it's very, I kind of grew up being like, oh no, what are you trying to say? And you need to say this one thing. And then when you like discover just how much emotion comes from like the lyric, or like not just the lyrics, the sounds, or what the, you know, the repetition or the music or the part or the beat, and you're just like, I feel a certain way, and it doesn't really matter what they're saying in this moment. I feel this way.
I love that.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah, that's great. That's really quite wonderful. Yeah. I've actually I visited Iceland. Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Did you? That's wonderful. Yeah, Iceland is a beautiful country. Yeah. Beautiful country. Yeah. And I actually ended up going out to a show and hearing a little bit of a singer singing Icelandic. Yeah.
Did you go in Reykjavik?
I did. Reykjavik. Traveled around the capital a little bit. Discovered, you know, some really cool places there.
Yeah. Did you go around the island, or just stay in like the city area?
I went around the island from the west, south, all the way to the east.
Okay.
Yeah. To the east.
So you go
to like Diamond Beach.
Do you remember Vik? Yeah. It's like that, the Black Beach, Vik. Yeah.
I stopped at Vik, yeah.
Yeah. And then did you hit the Blue Lagoon? Like, it's like where you fly in. it's like Keflavik Airport and the Blue Lagoon's there. It's like really touristy, but it's huge.
Super touristy. Yeah. I didn't hit Keflavik or the Blue Lagoon. I went to a different one called Sky Lagoon. That's right on the coast.
Yeah.
That was actually very beautiful and a little less touristy than the Blue Lagoon.
Yeah.
A little less advertised, but it was really beautiful. It was right on the ocean.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really beautiful hot spring. And I learned that there are over 600 natural hot springs.
Dude, there's so many.
A very, very beautiful place. And the sand on the beach is black due to the volcanic ashes. That was actually really beautiful to see. Yeah. Iceland was really something else. It was quite the experience. Dude,
it is so different. Yeah. Like there's so many ways why it's different, but one of my memories in Reykjavik was this guy who I imagined the characters that were in Reykjavik and the style was what Portland wanted to be, and Portland learned from like they were so hip, like there was just so stylish and so they just had these vibes, and I was like, oh, this is where Portland got their style, and then it bleeds into inland and stuff, and this is just my silly thought. But so the reason why I'm saying this, we go up to this guy, and we met Maggie, my ex-girlfriend that went with me. She's like, hey, do you have a cigarette? And he looks over, he's like, no. And she's like, it almost seemed rude, and he looks over and he goes, but I'll roll you one. And he pulls out this baggie in 2 seconds. And I may be exaggerating. It might be 4. Yeah. But he gets this paper and he dumps this row of tobacco. And he's just like, chop, 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 chop. There you go. Do you want one too? And I was just like, oh my God. The fastest cigarette I've ever seen. Oh, man. And I'm like, thank you, man. And he was actually really sweet, but I thought he was being a dick at first. Yeah. And I was like, you're so cool. Holy shit.
Nice. Yeah.
But
yeah, the people there were so nice. Anytime I visit a foreign country, I always want to immerse myself in the local culture, So despite the guidebooks that I'd bought and the maps and such that I was trying to find hot springs on, I took the time to ask any of the locals that I met, the locals at one of the hotels I stayed at, if there were any of the hot springs and such that weren't listed in there. Give me some directions, some directions that aren't on Google. Tell me about the places that you don't find on there.
The insider tip.
Yeah, I need the places that people go, or there aren't going to be a bunch of people there already, because I've never liked the word tourist. I don't like to think of myself as a tourist. It always makes me think of the guy in the Hawaiian shirt with the cheesy ball cap. And, I like to think of myself as a respectful visitor.
Yeah.
That to me is better than a tourist.
Right.
I'm visiting. I respect your land. I want to learn about the history. I want to learn about what happened here. I want to learn. I want to see any of the wonders of the world that are here. I want to learn about your culture.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to learn about the things that the locals like. I don't want to go to the places that are advertised to every single other person that comes and visits. I want to find those treasures, hidden treasures, if you will.
Yeah.
I want to find those so that I can, so that I can just develop more of a love for the land.
Yeah.
So I can go a little deeper.
Well, that's such a good rule of thumb. I wish that I probably would have taken, or I wish that I would have taken that mindset a little more when I visited there. And it was the first country that I had traveled to visit, in forever. I really it'd been a very long time. I lived in Australia, but I just lived there.
Oh, wow.
And so this was the first time I decided to go overseas in, I don't know, 5 or 6 or 7 years. And so I definitely fell a little bit prey to just even the Blue Lagoon. I was like, dude, there's other hot springs. And Maggie's like, we have to. It's, it's an experience. And I was like, okay, well, yeah, we'll go there. And we hunted some of the big waterfalls and, checked those out, which are iconic.
Yes.
But yeah, looking back as I travel more, I'm like, dude, I wish we would have found those hidden gems. And we did find a couple. And one of the things I love to do when I travel is I don't care as much about like those like just the checkoff list, but I also don't like, I'm not really a museum guy, or I'm like, dude, I want to go to the bars and soak it up with the regular, or like the regular people. And we did that there. And like, I mean, we found some characters that have been living there their whole lives. And that's fun for me. We're just like, dude, we spent all night with this fucking fisherman that goes up off the coast into the Arctic. Ooh. And it's like he's on a boat for 2 months at a time. Yeah. And like just in the dark, like there's no sunlight during the winter. And he's just like, yeah, dude, you don't know what. And his English was very broken. But we like spent like a solid 4 hours at this bar with this guy. And it's like one of my favorite memories. I was like, dude, we hung out with this like character in this tiny little town and this little fishing village that's way up the fuck nowhere.
I love that. Yes.
Yes. So I really do like that.
Yes. I had kind of a similar funny goal. One of the ones you might not think of. I wanted to meet a foreigner that would kiss me on both cheeks as a greeting. You know, I wanted that charm of someone saying, oh, this is what we do in my country, and have it be just a normal thing. And so we went out to this club called, it was called a Pablo Disco Bar. Which was a play on Pablo Escobar.
That's and so good.
They had, it was cartel themed drinks on their crafty menu. And it became this big, just a mishmash of different cultures. All of a sudden we met people from Jamaica that were just had this dance style. And all of a sudden this Frenchman came up to me and my friends, and apparently introduced himself to them first, and I was dancing on the dance floor, but he came up, and I looked over at my girlfriend, and she kind of nodded her head like, this is something, right? And so he took my face and kissed me on both cheeks, and she knew that was on my list of the things I wanted to do. She said that's that right there. Like, there you get your check off. You manifested this. You wanted to be greeted with a kiss on both cheeks.
Oh, that's so
and
good.
It was very charming. It was very nice. So I got my wish. There it happened.
Yeah. Dude, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's the crazy thing too. The fucking clubs are, it's not crazy, but the bars were, I think they closed at 11 on the weekdays, but then on Friday, Saturday it was 4.
Yeah.
And so, man, people just love to dance all night. And the spots that were a coffee shop by day then turned into a nightclub by night.
Yeah. You just never,
so cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And well, in Iceland, where it sits, it's between so many other European countries that it does end up being a layover for a lot of people. Yeah. That's what we heard from a lot of people, is that they had a layover there. And that's why they were there. Yeah. You know, a lot of cruise ships were stopped there, met some people from Austria, met some people from Nova Scotia. Just it ended up being just a place that people ended up stopped at. Just right there, you know, in the ocean, you know, right in the Atlantic. So.
Did you go winter, summer, spring?
It was early September.
Okay.
Yeah, early September. Went for 2 weeks, which ended up being just enough time to experience a lot of things wanted to do. So
yeah, because I want to go back. I haven't thought about this in a minute. I'm glad you brought it up, but or this came up. But we went in the winter, or like early March.
Okay.
Because we went, I wanted to see the Northern Lights, and then you know, now I'm like, oh, you can actually see them better in Norway, or, you know, like, but because Iceland is super, the weather is like tumultuous, lots of like cloud
in the winter
cover and stuff.
Yeah.
But I was like, man, I want to see it in the summer or some sort of like warmer weather. I mean, it was so fucking cold.
Yeah. Yeah. September felt like Oregon coast weather. Okay. It was, you couldn't really swim in the ocean. It was about 50, 60, you know. The more inland you went, the warmer it was. But it wasn't swim in the ocean tropical weather at all. Yeah,
we had a ton
But it wasn't
of
weather.
rain
It wasn't winter
shit.
weather.
Yeah. So I would love to, I was speaking of stayovers, I would love to hit Iceland for like 4 to 5 days and just spend that area again in the summer, and then go to another like country on, you know, use that as a stopping point and stuff. So
did you see the Northern Lights while you were there?
I did.
Nice.
But it took a week and a half to actually see them. And I was like, dude, I don't think we're going to get them. And I was like, fuck. And I was like, we're having a really good time, but god damn it, I can't believe we haven't seen them. And we got a glimpse of them one night, and then there was this next night, and it just happened. And I was like, holy fuck, we got it. We're like running outside, and then it was just, I mean, we're out there and just under the sky. I was just like, holy shit. It is one of the world wonders. That's wonderful. Like, I hope that everybody gets to see.
Seriously, that's great. That's great. We looked around. I got a little bit the first night. I came in before my friends did and stayed at a hotel on the coast that was known for whale watching and Northern Lights. And the staff at the hotel were so nice. They saw me just obsessively out and about watching, and they offered to come knocking on my door if the Northern Lights came out, because they're very they're very knowledgeable. They're very they know the signs. So and so they offered to do that, and they ended up coming knocking. That's cool. One time, and I caught just a slight glimpse. They said they're just coming out just a little bit, but I had rented a car, and so I kept on just driving to this coastline, which is right by it, and driving back, and they just kept seeing me out and about, and so they knew what I was doing, and I was by myself. But they're very sweet. And a lot of hotels will do that. Yeah, if you're on the coast in Iceland, and hotels will do that. They will come get you.
We had this. There's a spot that we stayed at. So I got my itinerary because we drove the whole way around. Nice. And I got it off this. I'd kind of look. It's my first trip I really booked, and I was very virgin to try to figure out how do I do these things and stuff. And so I had found some blog, and they're like, here's our course that we went along, so I kind of had these spots, and then we're going to spend a couple days here. We're going to go around the coast and whatever. Very cool. And then after we had already booked the trip, I watched that movie with Ben Stiller. Life of Walter Mitty. Yeah. The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. Have you ever seen that?
I have, but I didn't realize. Does he spend some time in Iceland?
Yeah, it was filmed a lot in Iceland and a little bit in Greenland, but most of it in Iceland. Nice. And so this iconic scene, and when he skateboards down this thing, and I was like, this is insane. I was like, I want to find out where that was. So I Googled that and shit. So this town called Seyðisfjörður. And so I changed the trip a little bit. I'm like, okay, we got to stay here. And it did not disappoint. There was this cutesy little fucking village in the middle of these two fjords, little fishing village, hardly any tourists get out this far. It's just this little point area. And that's where we saw the Northern Lights the first time. And I was like, oh my God. But yeah, it was just a really cool experience. I met this one girl. She was an Australian that was at the pizza joint we ate at. And I was just like, how'd you make it out here? And she's like, I came here and I met this dude and I never left. That was 3 years ago. And I was like, what? Nice. That's fucking nuts. She's like, yeah, I didn't even go back and get my shit. I canceled my fucking return flight, and then I figured out a way to get a visa here. I was like, that's so crazy. Oh man, that's fucking awesome. I love it. Cool. Very cool. Yeah. Yeah, Iceland is a really cool spot. Where else have you been to?
Oh gosh. So, well, I got my passport 3 years ago, and I made it a goal to travel internationally once a year at least. Once a year.
It's a good goal.
Yeah. And I've been to since then. So the first year I went to Iceland. Last year I went to Mexico. Went to Isla Mujeres for a friend's wedding.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. And then I went to Mexico again over the winter. Yeah. And into the new year. Spent New Year's there, which was
this is
absolutely beautiful.
Traveling is recent.
Traveling is very recent. I love to travel. I'm an adventurer. I've always been an adventurer. If I don't have an adventure booked, I start feeling slightly down. I need to have something planned. Yeah. Or
There's
end up.
a quote: "Happiness is having something to look forward to." Yeah. And I get that.
Yeah, and it can be something from just a weekend getaway at the hot springs, or even a day trip, a hike, any type of adventure. I'm just called to. I have to go out in nature. I have to explore, and if I don't, again, I have a noticeable feeling of down. I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's like I have to. So I keep that up. So that I can keep that wanderlust.
Yeah.
I guess you might call it a wanderlust.
Wanderlust is a good term for it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good term.
I mean, speaking of that movie, like The Secret Life of Walter Mitty really spoke to my soul about the desire to do, or like he didn't have it as he was afraid to go places, but then like that once you start experiencing, it's like like dive off the boat, grab the flight, you know, like these feelings of like there's so much more out here, and like that's the whole kind of point of the movie. It was just like this adventure that's like maybe it's not in all of us, but it's definitely in me. Yeah. And to ignore that or to and I forget exactly where I was going with, but the idea of realizing what you need to stay kind of like higher, you know, instead of going low and be like, oh yeah, I need to book a trip. I need to always have something on a books. Like that's actually a really good plan where you're like, okay, like, so I know that I feel a lot better about my life when I have something to look forward to in another venture, you know? And so then you start scheduling yourself out a little bit. And one of the things that I do is if I know I have an idea, but I don't book something, I'll get about a month out and I'm like, I can't make this work. I can't make the finances work.
Right.
And then I bailed on stuff because I'm like, and so I was taught by a buddy of mine. He's just like, dude, book the flights, like book the, make the secure thing or whatever.
Right.
So now you have, okay, that's there.
Yeah.
And now, okay, now I'll get the hotels next, or now I'll get the whatever. And then it forces you to start figuring it out, because if you don't, life gets in the way and all the bullshit. Yeah, so I'm starting to learn that really well. It's just like, book the flights. And then it kind of goes.
I feel it too. And in the between time, I have this thing that I do where I try to just dip a little bit of creativity into everyday life. So, you know, say just something off the wall, something offbeat. So say you have an idea for something social you want to do. Say you want to brighten someone else's day, where I'm just sort of taking this like blip, you know, out of my brain and just putting it into the day. Like, what can I do? How can I put something into the world that wasn't there before? For example, I'll ride my bike downtown a lot. And the other day I felt as though my cup was overflowing as far as positivity. And I wanted to share that with others. And I said, well, why don't I just tell a stranger, you're awesome? Anybody. Who do I feel called to say that to? And I'd stopped at a stoplight and I saw a couple of people walk by. One guy had his hands in his pockets, kind of face down. And I said, well, okay, you're going to just put that positivity in the world. You're going to just take that thought and put it into him. Give him that energy, if you will. And so I said, hey, you're awesome. And he turned slightly to make sure I was talking to him. And I said, yeah, you're awesome. And he said, me? And I said, yeah, you. And he said, you are too. And he looked so surprised, but I felt like it helped. And you know, I know that a lot of people will say, you know, be kindness, you know, add kindness to the world, you know, but it can be done. And you never know what kind of effect that had. I don't know what he thought of it. Yeah. He kept walking and I just bid him adieu. I was on my way to work, but I thought, you know, that's just so neat. And then the same trip, I was riding by some girls and I overheard them say, you know, do you want me to give you a ride home? And I just yelled out, yeah, give her a ride home. Just joined in the conversation. I was riding by, you know, you just put yourself in, you know, and they all laughed. And it just, you know, that was the effect. There was my action and there was the effect. Yeah. All three girls laughed. Maybe she gave him a ride home. I don't know. Yeah. But they heard it and they just lifted him up, but just a little bit. Little bit. Yeah. Even if it's just a little bit, the effect, who knows? Yeah. No, it's the cliche of like adding little bits of kindness in the world. I go through phases where I'm good at doing just that. Yeah. And sometimes I'm not. But like I have some friends that always do it. It's just, and they compliment when they feel like it. And I'm just like, man, I always forget to be like, oh yeah, there's people around you that enjoy that experience of human connection. And then you never know who you can meet, you know, you never know the day that you can brighten, or
the day that, or somebody can brighten your day, etc. Or even just doing the act of kind things brightens your own day, because
it's true.
Being
it's true.
good feels good.
Yeah. Or just taking that idea and dipping into the universe. I did the experiment this year as it came close to Valentine's Day. I thought, how fun would it be to have one of my girlfriends put on some bright lipstick and just give me a giant smacker just right on the cheek, big kiss. Okay. Yeah. And just walk around like that all day. Go to the bank, And when you have a big kiss on your, it looks like somebody's been loving you up, you look like you got it going on, Who loves you, And I thought, well, why not do just more kisses? As close it came to Valentine's Day, Why not just up the ante, For a week, do one kiss. Next week, do two kisses, And then close to Valentine's Day or on Valentine's Day, just look like you've just been kissed all over. And just go about your daily life like that. You go to the grocery store,
Yeah. How many more people did you
go
talk
pay your
to?
insurance, you're just going about doing your daily errands and you just look like you've just been getting loved up. It's the idea of love. Idea, because that gives the idea of closeness. It gives the idea of intimacy. Yeah. It implants into people whatever their perception is. And that can be any number of things. That can be whatever their idea of getting kisses is. It can create whole worlds for people that you don't even know exist, just by the idea of getting a kiss. No. They may want that. Maybe they'll ask for a kiss when they get home. Maybe they'll be more kissy with their lover when they get home. Maybe, that'll spark something in them,
Did you find people asked you about it more?
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, and it made me want to carry. Honestly, I didn't have a camera to capture this, but I thought, how fun it would be to capture people's natural reactions to it. Yeah. What's the natural reaction right when their face sees it, without any kind of preconceived notion that there's a camera actually recording them. Because there's a real beauty to people's natural instant reactions to things. That split second of taking in the information, of, this is what I'm viewing. This is, but it is always positive. Yeah. People love love. There's this idea of love. There's this, people need, they want, they need, they think they need, there's this, everybody has an idea of love and what they want, what they need, what lifts them up, But I feel as though kisses speak so much to the soul. Yeah. They're very much like a loving thing, And so it was a really fun experiment to do. Yeah. And that natural reaction from people, it seemed like it always procured a smile. It was just always a wonderful thing.
Yeah. I like that a lot.
Yeah. And so I thought, it doesn't even need to be Valentine's Day. It can be just any time of year, but just, have somebody give you a big smooch and, smooch. Girls, guys, let's all kiss each other and just see what the reaction is. And pretty soon the whole world will have kisses on their face.
Yeah.
Let's spread this.
Yeah. I like that you were saying about you have the joy of the adventure and but then you're creating a little bit of adventure in the mundane or in the day of every day. You still need a little bit of that,
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. So between time, if it's hey, what if my next adventure overseas, I do the kiss thing too, I feel like that's one you can do every day. Yeah. And that's almost an adventure in, just human interaction.
Yeah. I love that.
And it's inspirational and it's just a lot of fun too,
Yeah. So. I have to pee.
All right.
Let's take a break.
Break time. I know I love these fucking shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna have to. Is there the kicks in any sort of?
No, they
should I kick the kicks?
Yeah.
Should I just be like? Because there are cons. There's Chuck Taylors, man.
Yeah, that's fucking nuts. I've never seen.
Those dope. Yeah. Super cool, right? I know. I thought about kicking them on the table. Wasn't sure if that was okay to do.
Like I said,
the cameras are there.
Well, yeah, most of the cameras are on this us. Part. I'll still wear shoes because, but yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Because of them.
So to bring it back to I would love to talk about a little bit more about the energy exchange. We were talking about it outside about just finding the moments when your cup is full and these little moments of giving, like you were talking about before with the kiss thing, and then and then you have to understand when you're feeling heartful and listening to your intuition, listening to what you're I need to spread some love today. And I mean, try to do that more in general, but then also understanding when you're like, oh, I've been giving too much of myself to a certain person. And then you're like, oh, an energy vampire. And I'm like, I can't handle too much of this, you know, like I can give a little love, but then, but if it starts sucking from me, like I have to know when to be like, ah, fuck, dude, I can't handle that. So like kind of understanding yourself of like when you're able to give a lot, when you're able to, I
feel like that comes from a lot of self reflection, you know. So, you know, say when you spend some time doing, say you spend a day, you're talking to people, you're exchanging energy. That's a lot of people, you know, whoever you're talking, if you're talking to a lot of people, you know, any text, any little text just takes a little bit from, you know, or it gives a little back. I try to send, some days I'll make it a goal to just send 5 positive messages. I'll say, I really enjoyed the time we spent together the other night. Say I go out dancing with some friends. I try to message all of them and say the same, along the same lines. I am over the moon about the joy that I experienced spending time with you. I want you to get that message. I want you to receive that. And then that fills me. But if it's after the night, you know, maybe I feel, I send that out and then I need to step back and I'd spend some time doing some self-care, you know, spend a night in, I'd read, I'll watch some TV, watch one of my favorite shows, you know, do a face mask, you know, the things girls love to do, you know, things like that. And that's always helpful, you know. And then I feel like I can always tell, usually I always tell when the cup is full. Usually I always tell because I can feel it sort of, I can feel it rising sort of out of me. Like I feel it. And I started doing this thing at festivals years ago. And this is a great subject because it's really a fun thing to do. A lot of times people, when they go to festivals, whether it's EDM, it's a music festival, something where you're going to be around a bunch of people, carnival, a fair. I started doing this craft where I cut out stars and suns. I made suns and stars. Okay. I started with the stars and I would tell someone, say, I tell you, I pulled this star out of the sky for you last night. And I write something on there that said, your smile lights up the world, or your eyes have the beauty of 1,000 oceans, or just some loving message. Loving message. Your energy is enough to light up the world. You can have anything you want, or just positive messages. Sharing that energy flow. And I created something like 40 of these, you know, 20 suns, 20 stars. I like the stars more because sometimes people didn't know what to think when I gave them a star and when I gave them a story. And I try to do it with people. I do it with people I know. I do it with people I don't know. And I did it with people. I wrote ones there where I said, your outfit is out of this world, you know, not knowing who I was going to see, but trying to match the star to who I saw that matched it with it in the moment. Writing ones that meant something I was going to see in the future. You know, your hair is phenomenal. You know, somebody with a cool hairstyle. You know, wow, I really love the vibe you bring to the world. Your voice is beautiful. It's for someone that's singing. What can I do to, you know, how can I write these things in a way that I know is going to match up with someone I'm going to meet? Somebody's going to be doing something. So your dance moves. One of them I put, you have apocalyptic dance moves. And I said, and when I I took these to not only Connection, pretty popular festival. They're about to do their 10-year.
Are you going?
I don't know if I'm going to go this year. I'm on the fence. I might.
It's the last year.
I know.
Fuck. I've been on the fence too. You go, I'll go.
And I'll just do it.
I do care that you're going.
So that
I've been on the fence.
I went to Dave Matthews Band at the Gorge. And I carried a fanny pack. And I did keep a pen and extra stars in it in case. You know, I wrote ones I knew that in the future someone would probably match up with. And then I kept some empty ones so I could write if I felt called in the moment to say something that I hadn't thought of yet. But the reaction was really beautiful. I met people, and when I told them that, you know, and I said, I said, hey, I reached into the sky last night and I grabbed a star and I brought it down for you. And some people, if they were maybe high, so they said, really? You know, it was a funny reaction. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, really. That was
absolutely,
really,
bro.
totally did that. Yeah, I did that. And then, but once they realize, you know, this is just this thing that you're, you know, you are gifting this with intention to me. You know, and the reaction was really quite beautiful. I've actually run into people. It created this reaction that where I've met people. I even met someone about 2 weeks ago that remembered that moment.
Oh, no way.
That I ran into at a concert for Tree Fort, bartending a show at Tree Fort, where she said, you gave me a star and said that you pulled it out of the sky for me. And it said something really beautiful. It says something like, I can see your soul, you know, through your spirit. Just something beautiful.
Oh, for sure.
Something beautiful, but she remembered the moment.
Yeah.
And it meant something. It meant that it ended up being a connection later on. So
yeah.
So that's kind of when I started experimenting with sharing. Cup is filled. So how can I share this with the world? Yeah. And so I made it a thing to just carry around a fanny pack, and I'm going to continue doing it at every festival. You know, or give people stars. Or suns.
Well, it's crazy that like, especially at Tree Fort. Well, I guess you worked, but you also went.
Yeah.
Like, you know, when I ran into you at I don't know, it was just, you were like, I gotta work later, but you were still ready to go and have fun.
Mm-hmm.
But that did remind me of like, this is what people are like at festivals. And which is one of my favorite things about a festival is it brings out this nature from people of like sharing and just like I see you and I like, oh, you're awesome with no expectation. Like there's all this like there's like a very heart forward, and I've felt this almost every festival I've been to where it's just like so much sharing and we're all here for the same thing and the music and the like fun and of course the drugs, but you know, like sometimes drugs makes me more heart forward and like so I'm just like like now that I'm just like I'm feeling this love, and but you feel the energy of the people around you and you're just like you're like, ah, you're awesome, and like all of this sharing, all of this stuff reminds me of festivals. And it's just like, why the fuck aren't we doing this every day? You know, like and sometimes you need to be reminded of that to then bring this into the real world. I'm like, you actually can bring the same sentiment. You can, it's true. From there into there.
Yeah, so. You can. And in fact, bartending a couple of shows afterwards, I wanted to hold on to that feeling. And so I brought the fanny pack with me to a couple of the EDM shows I bartended for Tree Fort, you know. And if I felt called, you know, by a certain customer, you know, because when you're bartending, the person walks up and you make eye contact and they tell you the drink they want, and there's an exchange, there's an energy exchange, you know. And I always try to make it meaningful, even if it's several per night. And so I a couple of nights I brought the fanny pack with me so I could give out the stars as desired.
That's so
and
cool.
It turned out okay. I have to be careful with that energy because occasionally it comes off as flirting. And occasionally it can mean a little more to men, women, to whoever than I intended to. And I, you know, if I'm not exactly trying to flirt, and then so I have to be careful with the energy.
That's kind of.
But I swear. I have to have phrases, friendship phrases in mind. If you know, depending on what my intention is, because some people can take it farther than I mean for it to. You know, I can't tell somebody their eyes are as deep as the bluest ocean and have them not, if they're looking for something more than just a bartending experience, they can sometimes, you know.
Well, I think that is also, that's a really good observation with like the balance of giving so much love, or like when you give somebody a soulful moment without you even knowing it, but you also going back to like when you know that like, oh, you're taking it as this, you have to know when to guard yourself and be like, oh no, I'm not looking for that.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't like, if I were to do the moon and the stars thing, right? I would be most like if I were to do it to girls, I'd be most girls' gay friend. Like they're like, oh, this guy's gay for sure. He's passing out moon and stars, you know. So like I would have that, but then if I gave it to men, like depending on the man, like they'd be like, this guy's hitting on me. Like so there is definitely a read of who you are and where that comes from.
Yes, there is. Yes, exactly.
And then you also have like also like it's like the hippie guys that use like a lot of love and like thing to then get girls, and you're like, you disgusting pig. Right?
Yes, like, exactly. It's intention.
You're hijacking.
Yes, like that. My love,
energy and all of this.
Yeah, it's like don't take my love to mean I'm trying to fuck. You know, something that. Yes. For instance, a good example of this is I had a couple of the stars that said you have big dick energy, and I gave them specifically to girls.
Yeah.
Because if I give them to guys, who knows? They'd be whipping it out. I don't know.
Sure.
You know.
Yeah, that's a good read.
I don't know. Maybe they do, but I'm not trying to figure that out. But I feel like the phrase, big dick energy is just like you just have this. You have a big amazing energy, and the girls. It was funny the reaction from the girls that I gave it to, the stars to. There was one that she straight up she put it in the top of her pants. So it just was sort of there for everybody. And she was telling everybody, I've got it. And it was like this show of like, I got it.
Yeah.
So the reaction from the girls from that was just so much stronger and better, than it could have been for any man I would have given it to.
Yeah, for sure.
But I tried to make sure that if I gave it to any men, that it was understood. It was whether it was platonic or flirting. There's definitely a line there.
Right.
Yeah,
sure.
I didn't want to give anybody the wrong idea and have them following me around at the festival the rest of the time.
No, yeah,
weird.
for sure.
But I did want to give them the confidence boost.
Yeah. See, I'm personally a person who this came from getting friend zoned a lot as a kid. But like, if I meet a girl that I'm into, like, I let her know. You're cute. You're like, but I'll talk to them. I'll touch them in a flirty way.
Yeah.
Like, I am making this flirt known.
Okay.
And so one of what I've noticed about like sometimes festival communities or like the hippie guy with like the sheep's clothing, like, oh no, like I want to just talk to you about spiritual things, and then they use oh yeah, you're the sun and the moon and blah blah blah. Like the guy who uses fucking some sort of like spiritual massage to then get
you're my princess in another life.
Fucking.
I can heal you energetically and also
by touching your boobs.
Yeah, so that kind of shit is just like, dude, why don't you just like? For me, I'm like, no, I put my intention forward. Mm-hmm. Like if I'm like trying to flirt with you, or if I'm like just friends with you.
Yeah, like there's no sneaking around. Seriously.
That's
This one? Okay. Hold on one sec.
Okay.
Yeah, dude, I just back to that conversation. There is like, I love like you're like, okay, I got to be careful when I give this to the right person, and like because things are perceived very differently depending on who the person is. Yeah. Also depending on where they are in life and
so much. Yeah. So many different factors involved. Yeah, there are really are. And you never know. Occasionally it has been perceived as this flirting. And if the person has a need or a perceived need, or is lonely or something like that.
But I don't think that's a reason to not do it. Like at all.
It isn't. It just requires me to have
be like perceptive,
to have certain responses in mind in case someone does, like for example, start following me around at a festival. Say I give him. There was one I wrote last year that said, your biceps are out of this world, and I meant it to mean, gosh, you've been working out. You look great. You look great. But he was by himself. I didn't know this, but he was by himself camping and looking for his lady of his life. And after that, So, and it was not me. So I just was, walking by and I thought, gosh, there he is, the biceps, I'm looking for this muscular physical attribute and I'm going to give it to him. And that was the one.
Yeah.
So I shared that with him, meaning to just boost him, and it caused him to believe that maybe, I could be that girl.
I have a whole pocket full of these. This is my, I'm just trying to share a lot of joy.
Yes. And so to deliver that message in a way that is nice and so not to make him think that, you're one of many that I'm giving these compliments to know that you're still special, but I'm only looking for something platonic.
Yeah.
It doesn't require some predetermined responses.
And you might you might learn as you go, because I think it's nice to have these gifts, right?
True. True.
I have a friend, Nikki. So there is this guy at Tom Graney's. This is probably 12 years ago. He used to wear face paint. He was always at Graney's. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I don't know if you he was always there.
Really?
Always by himself. And just would sit in the corner, never drank some water, wore face paint, and nobody would talk to him. And Nikki is a beautiful soul, but also a beautiful person. I mean, inside and outside, just gorgeous human. And then also she's like, oh, why is that guy sitting alone? And so she went out and I was like, fuck. And sure enough, he's just developed a crush on him. I'm like, of course you did. Why would you not develop a crush on this amazing soul that saw you alone? And when no one else would talk to you, she came over and talked to you. Of course you would develop a crush on her, but fuck, dude. Nikki had that happen all the time, because she was always a person who was just why is this person, oh, let's include him. Yeah. Let's bring him. And then she would show a little bit of love. And and then all of a sudden this guy's falling in love with her. She's no. So figuring that dynamic out is tricky, but that, I always told her, I was like, dude, that does not mean you should not keep sharing the love. You just have to figure out how to put that boundary up, whatever.
Yeah. I had a couple of experiences that, that's funny that you mentioned that, because yes, I had a couple of experiences where the person was very much down, or when I friend zoned them, so to speak, they became very downtrodden and hurt, and I then didn't want to talk to me anymore. And I thought, well, I'm very well worth being friends with, so why doesn't this guy see it? No. So and I feel as though every relationship is very much the prerequisite for any relationship. I feel is friendship. If you're not friends, what do you have? I don't know. I feel friendship is very much a part of any relationship.
Sure.
I do. I really feel as though that's important, because some relationships fall apart, and then you see people that just, you see a lot of anger and hate and hatred and backlash towards each other. And you thought, well, if it was a true friendship, and there can be hurt at first, there's feelings, yes. But when you look at it purely, you want them to be happy. And if you're in a mature state, you want them to be happy, even if it's not with you.
Yeah.
This is wisdom. This is when you gain that wisdom of, it might not be the right fit, but I want you to be happy with who you're with. Right. Even if it's not me, if it's alone, if it's not with me, just be happy. That's what I want. Yeah. And a lot of people get twisted, and gosh, they're so mad about this next girl, and they're jealous, and gosh, there's just so much yuck, so many feelings involved with that, that I feel as though, that's why I feel friendship. And I've never really had a relationship outside of someone in my friend group. Yeah. I've never had to really look because of that factor, because I've developed friendship. Yeah. So I've never been on say a dating site, or say, anywhere where I've had to really look around, because it just ends up developing because of the connections I've made. Yeah, which is to me is a beautiful thing. Yeah. Nothing against anybody that does. And
and I would assume that you're more attracted to people that you've already found a friendship intimacy with.
Absolutely, yes. Because if you aren't doing the same thing, if you haven't found necessarily common ground or something you enjoy doing together, this is, I suppose, the way that to me, any long distance love type relationships are formed is by doing the things that you are interested in together.
Right.
Yeah. So outside of that, I've never really found much of an interest. So
yeah. It's so interesting because I'm very somewhat opposite, where I'm like, I go for the kill right away. But like I kind of said, this part of it comes from being friend zoned my entire childhood and getting this like shoulder or like this stiff arm where it's just like, oh no, we're friends, like. And this I used to write songs about this where people like this, like they would be like, oh, you're such a good guy, someone's gonna find you, and I'm like, no. I want that to be you, motherfucker. Like, no, I found you, you just haven't realized that I'm the one. Oh, no. So like I had a lot of those moments. Okay. And so then as I like kind of found myself into my own in my 20s, I was just like, oh dude, put your intention forward. But then like in these days, like I found a lot, like there are certain people I'm just like, dude, you're a good friend. Like, and so I have a few girlfriends around me that like people are like, you had to have smashed. I was like, dude, no, like we're homies. Yeah. And people are like very surprised by it, but like I'm kind of able to parse this out pretty quickly of like if I have an energy, like if like the energy is like, oh, we're like flirty, or oh no, I just want you around, like you're a homie. Right. And I've learned this in my age, but I'm still somebody, I'm like, oh yeah, like I want you to, like if I meet a new person, I want you to understand that I am not trying for friendship. Like this is my intention. Like, and I'm pretty good now, like putting that forward.
That's good. That's good.
But beyond that, like, I mean, like Cindy and I met like very sexual right away.
Nice. Love that.
And then, but like, yeah, if I can't stay long run with anyone unless I understand that you are like somebody who I want to be a really good friend with. And I have seen what you said happen, where it's just like when people get so twisted and they throw you aside because you didn't choose them. I see that happen. Like, I mean, I have sisters, like, so I see this happen to my sisters. Right. I see that happen to some of my other girlfriends. I'm like, bro, I'm like, at the end of the day, like, you're pissed because you wanted more and you didn't figure out a way to tell them.
Yes.
Or even if they turned you down, you couldn't accept that she couldn't still value, like you guys couldn't value each other because of friendship.
I see that.
And you couldn't understand that, like, that's just not what she wants out of this.
Crazy.
And and some people can, some people can't.
Dude, I love that. I love your perspective though. It's so good to hear. Because I've had relationships where I felt like the love was there, but like the friendship wasn't. And then I've had relationships where the friendship was there and I wanted the love out of it. Like it's still just a very interesting definition of just a feeling.
Most people want both. I mean, I know you want to have the partner and also the intimacy.
Yeah, it is. It's true. So it's such an interesting dynamic though. I love hearing different people's perspectives on it. The one thing that I caught out of what you said was the intention though.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's very good to make your intention known.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like if more men did that, there would be more men that weren't disappointed, as you're saying, like men that were saying, she friends on me, and like I never like went for it.
And I do think that, I mean, we live in a lonely world.
We do, and anymore being vulnerable can be taken as being weak.
Yeah,
being in love is not. It's not necessarily taken as a superpower anymore.
Yeah,
and I feel like being able to love and be vulnerable and say like, I'm in love with you, I'm falling in love with you, or feeling those like good feelings. So many people hold back and there's so much muck and weirdness that it can feel like it's not safe or, and I feel like any more vulnerability and love, being able to love is a superpower. Is a superpower. Yeah. If we can do that these days, there's so many other ways for other people to connect and do and be that anymore coming together in that way is a superpower.
Yeah, it's so crazy really too because
I do.
I have a few friends that like fucking can't figure it out. And then I have these other friends that just, they got it. Like they found the person and they were able to express their love and they're like becoming this like magical couple. And I'm like, see, you guys give me hope. Like I don't even believe in like you don't even know this much about me. I don't believe in marriage. I don't believe in monogamy for myself. I don't want to have kids. But I want the fuck out of that for like the people that want it. Yeah. And so I'm sad for some of the people that like can't, they're like, I can't even get a girl like me. I'm like, dude, I could probably help you, but there are these people that just they can't figure it out. And then, but I'm like, I do have friends that have figured it out. And I saw this like cute little couple evolve and they just became this. And I'm like, fuck yeah. I don't know where I was going with it other than that.
I love that. It's good. It's good. It's really good. It's really good. I love it. I have a compulsion but we need a break to get together.
Yeah. Tea break.
Yeah. Tea break.
So when you said you wanted to bring the poetry, I was like, dude, fuck yeah. Nobody's ever done this before. So thank you.
Oh my God. I have like the craziest like
actually maybe one time I showed a song on camera, but it was like on my phone. And I was like, oh, here's something I'm working on or something.
How fun is that? Like, I feel like that's just like such a fun way to like connect. Is sharing art is fun anyway. You know, like when you share something you wrote, there's a vulnerability there. It's like,
dude,
I wrote this. Yeah. This is from my heart. And like, I'm sharing this. Like, this is like, and then to share with people.
Yeah. That's respond to being like, having that, like, to be the audience, being like, oh, they're like, I don't know. That's what, like, after
this is my heart. Yeah.
After any show, I'm like, hey, just like, thank you for playing. I had such a great time.
Thank you for showing me your art. Like, this is your, like, seriously, like, this is your, you know? Yeah. Like, you, like, creativity. I feel like it's just so beautiful. I always appreciate people's art and their creativity. Yeah, I just yesterday I started kind of humming this song.
Ooh, and
so yeah, really fresh. And like I said, I've been writing poetry since I was something like 15. But putting it into a song has only been something I've been doing for since the beginning of the year. Changing around some of the pieces, you know, because I feel like you're already writing. And you have to say, you know, I had to sort of think about like, are people, you know, like, what's the difference between the dynamic of a song and a poem, you know? And
I think that like most songs are poetry, but not all poems are songs.
Exactly.
Like,
absolutely.
Like,
they really are.
He's a great writer, but like he writes into this
straight up.
I barely write as just a poem.
The other way. Like,
exactly. And then there's a lot of there can be noises involved, and then
stamping is a huge thing.
Noises, and then there's there is a lot of times a chorus involved. There's a lot of times there's like an instrumental part, and then you go back to the end. There are loops. There are things you can do with a song. And then like the subject I was touching on earlier, like the subject of it being very little lyrics, but it's still delivering a message. Like I was always fascinated by, again, the Beatles, that song where they say, I want you, and I want you so, and then it's boom, boom, boom.
Dude, it's crazy the amount of, like,
and they do the entire song, and that's like the amount of lyrics is just like four. It's literally four like stanzas. It's I want you so bad, and she's so heavy. And I feel like it's the only lyrical part of the whole song is just repeated in such a way that makes it just such a cool song.
I used to be once I got into lyrics pretty heavily, I became like a lyric snob. And I would be like, like sometimes if I listen to music and the lyrics are bad, I'll be like, I can't.
It's taste. That's not snobbery.
but then I would find myself, and it's like an evolution of your own taste in music,
right?
Because I would find myself listening to a band, I'm like, dude, I honestly don't have any idea what they were saying. Like, I was in them for the musicality or the feeling or the emotion, and like I played in bands in my 20s, so like I would listen, like, oh my God, that guitar part, I'm like, oh, and I would get stoned, I'm like, and I would hear this, and I would hear them sing, but I didn't know what they were singing. I was like, oh, that part, and like I remember I was dating this girl Taylor, And one of my favorite bands at the time was Borns. And I was like, dude, their musicality is brilliant. And I was just like, this like it brought all this emotion. And she was like, but the lyrics, and I was like, I kind of didn't even know they said that. And then she would point out all of this like really beautiful poetry that they were saying that I missed entirely. And I was like, holy fuck. Like, so the levels of like songs to me now, and it like she's into like a lot of music, no lyrics at all. And it's just like the mood, the vibe, the feeling, and the beat. I hadn't done a lot of that in a long time. And that's like that's what electronic brought back, or like at least brought to me. Was just like, oh yeah, you don't actually like, what does it feel? What is the emotion? What is the no.
I feel that too. Yeah. And you don't need to say a lot to speak a piece, to speak something,
convey a message,
like that's why some of the songs I always notice the lyrics, and I think about it in written form, especially being a poet for so long. I went to see to the Shrine to see Scott Pemberton recently. Love but he has one song and the only lyric in it is, "Don't mistake my kindness for weakness," and it's don't. It's just bass. It's fucking guitar heavy. And then it's him. Everybody stops around him. There's that musical, beautiful pause. "Don't mistake my kindness for weakness. Don't. And then they all get back to it. And it's the same thing. Instrumental.
Yeah.
Everybody pauses. Silence. And I feel like that silence and knowing the timing from a band, it's always been one of the things that's fascinating me, because everybody else is so captivated by it. It's like, there are going to be songs where you're moving, but man, that pause, they all feel the time. Like it's a band being in sync.
Yeah.
That's that
There's
beauty.
Also a phrase.
Practice.
There's a phrase by, and I forget who. He's more of a classical guy, but like, music is not the notes, but the space between.
Yes.
And it's, I don't know who said it.
So much.
But it is.
If you're able,
if you're able, like,
down.
And to take the pauses. Because I was always like, fill the space. But
you don't always need to fill that space. It's just like when you're conversing with someone, and if you can take the time to pause, like with a lot of my friends, if we go on hikes, if we're hanging out together a lot, we're going to pause in nature, and we're going to hear this. We're going to take the time to hear the sound of the birds, the earth, everything around us.
Wow.
There's very much a beauty in pausing. To pause. It slows down time. Too. You can slow down the time when you're together and just enjoy the moment.
Yeah.
That's that present moment peace of mind. I would say if I am religious, if I lean towards any religion, it's Buddhism. And so I lean towards meditation and the pause. And if you're really enjoying a moment, stop and just really feel every single feeling that's going on in your entire body. Your mind, your body. You can very much be in tune with whatever is happening. And it just slows down time. So, you really can control the time that you're taking with every single thing in life, every experience. If it's something you dislike, you can get through it a little faster. Just because of your perspective, your mindset, you can speed it up a little. You can slow it down a little.
You work in, have been in service. Have you ever resonated with, who's that chef? The famous chef. Anthony Bourdain.
I've looked a little bit of his stuff.
I've only recently discovered his quotes. Even though I know he's like passed. And now I realize, like, as I've like seen more and more of his quotes, how beautiful of like a creature he was. But he has a lot of these. He's like the things that I appreciate most in life is not going even back to the traveling, like not all these big, like all the things of whatever. He's like, but it's just like that walk on the beach with the beer in hand, or just the laugh of friends around a meal, just these simplistic things that are like, oh my God, like it speaks to me a lot. It's like, like you chase all this more, but then like if you just take the pause to enjoy these like little things, you're like, oh my God, this is the thing that you remember in life. These are the moments, the experiences.
It absolutely is. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, a good example of that is I went to the Oregon coast a few years back, and I went to the beach at low tide, and there were a lot of tide pools visible when the ocean was subsided. You know?
Mm-hmm.
And so I got to see a lot of starfish, a lot of ocean life that wouldn't have normally been visible.
Yeah.
And I sat down in one of the tide pools and just went silent, meditated. And before I knew it, crabs began coming out of the little crevices, places. Animals became comfortable, just doing what they do naturally. With my presence there, they didn't even feel me, you know, or if they did, they felt it as a safe presence to come out. So I started to hear all the things that life had to offer, all the things nature had to offer from the ocean. Yeah. And I got to experience that. And then before I knew it, the tide came in and I had to get out of there. But I felt as though it was a real treat to see that, to feel that, the things that are under the ocean. There's so many fascinating things under the ocean, you know. So many fascinating creatures that we don't even know anything about. I mean, there are creatures in the deepest black of the ocean that have developed the ability to create light. You know, there's bioluminescence. There's things, there's concepts, there's creatures have evolved to do that are just fascinating to me. So, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, so that was a very significant experience for me. Very more significant than just hang out with friends. You know, that I went down to the ocean.
When you're still like, we're just like go, right? And so you're like, okay, let's do it. Like,
it's a typical human function.
Pausing to like be in the moment.
Absolutely.
Like, and actually noticing, like, oh, what is happening around me, and not just with me.
Absolutely, yeah. Slowing down, you can really feel a lot more than just if you are just going headstrong into life and what's next and such. You know? Yeah,
that's a good way to do it.
Yeah. So
you want to try it?
Yeah.
I don't know. I've got this song, but I don't know, you guys. I might not want to do it on tape yet.
Yeah, you don't have to do it.
I've got a melody for it, and it's a fun one.
Yeah.
I've been playing with my voice. I've been practicing certain songs.
Yeah.
How is your audio in here? Is it pretty good if I were to sing a song?
I mean, it's
how do you feel about?
It's not the best produced. Like they're like I have this just to isolate audio.
Okay.
It'll sound good, but this isn't like this.
Okay.
Like if there's no pressure too. If you would rather,
this is so fun though.
Yeah, I know. Now that we're talking about it, so here's another thing that you did try after this too. I've been recording music.
Yes,
so
I had a feeling.
If you would like to record it just and see, and then take it with you.
Oh, fun.
I would record you in this. This is a way better microphone than
nice.
Just
than
like
just
talking.
us singing.
But like this would still be like, you're welcome to or not. Or
I love it so much though. You guys, this is awesome. I love sharing with you guys. So this is just so cool.
Yeah.
So off record. We're off tape. There can be this bias that maybe you need to do a lot yourself. You need to create the tune. You need to create the music. You need to write the lyrics. You need to know what the tune is. You need to do a lot more work than singing, songwriting. And for a little bit, I was stuck in how that felt, you know, and how that it might not be a fit for me to seek out guitar players that were strumming tunes that they needed lyrics for. But there actually is a whole world of people writing music that are writing the music and don't have lyrics. They don't have the singer, the songwriter. They need that.
Yeah.
So
have you ever been to Nashville?
No.
God, that city is like a conglomerate of people finding each other.
Yeah.
Like all like. I do feel like I'm a person who likes to do a lot of shit myself, but a lot of people don't. And then I know some people like, dude, I learned guitar. I don't know how to sing.
Yeah, a lot of people don't.
And so Nashville is a city of all these people coming together, and like that's this a beautiful thing about this city, because like a bass player who's just like, dude, I don't write songs, but I can play the fuck out of this bass. He's gonna find the right band, and and that city is just this conglomerate of all of these like parts that have kind of found each other. And the bigger, you know, like you'll see some bands that they've been playing like for 5 years at one of the Broadway bars. And you're like, oh my God, you guys are just like a resonant fucking like show. And all of these people that are constantly coming, I mean they call it Music City for a reason, but holy shit. So to find that, like you don't have to do everything yourself.
And honestly, like, and you can, you know, and many people are multi-talented in that respect, but it's to limit yourself to that, I feel like is limiting.
For sure.
To believe in this vast expanse of people that are creating, and people that are that would love your lyrics, people that would love your voice, that's out there. That's
collaboration,
collaboration, and that's really just what we're looking for anyway. So, you know, so it can be a blocker if you think, you know, that you have to do that first. When really singing songwriting is a beautiful talent all in and of its own.
That's
it really is, you know, and if you search, you're bound to find, you know, there's a manifestation.
That's a good word. One of the things that I think that blocks, speaking of blocking of creativity, is just like you're like, oh, I want to do this thing, but I need this thing first. And it doesn't matter what it was, what it is that you replaced in those two sections, but it happens to almost every creative I know, including myself, is I want to do this, but I need this first. And those two things like actually don't exist. Like if you want to do the thing, you can do the thing, and it's actually the reverse. It's like if I do the thing, I will find the other thing. Like, so some people are like, oh, I want to write a book, but I need to grow my Instagram first. Or I want to like make this song, but I need a guitar player first. Or I want to get better at guitar, but I need this first. And like, I want to start a podcast, but I need video guy first. All this bullshit is like a kind of like this framing that you do in your head to block the creativity that you just have. And if you just were like, fucking just
you just
do
like,
the shit.
You need to just like box it, just fucking fire through it and just get that clear other side. It's very good, I feel like, to let down some of the walls and just believe strongly that you can find what you're looking for.
Like in your case, and this is a spitball, but like if you were to just like say you were looking for like a band or like somebody who would find resonance in some of your songs. If you're just like, you know what, I'm just gonna start making some TikTok videos. I want to start singing, and I'm like, I just need some people to lay down some shit, and then like you never know who could come in, and that's like, or you could do.
That'd be cool way to open source.
They're gonna come to you.
And dude, the amount of people that like and then there's like music communities too, you know, like even in Boise, there's like all the Boise music hubs. I'll see like somebody move, they're like, hey, like I have these songs, does anybody want to jam? And then you like find out. So there's a million ways to find stuff, but then you also have to like open yourself up to sharing your art and stuff. Also, I'm gonna make you plug that back in because it's not gonna work as well. You're like, what is this thing?
What's happening? I thought it was being cool. Oh, it's so cool.
I just noticed it. I was like, oh, what's that?
That's funny.
That's funny.
Should we?
That's why I have this backup.
I love that. Should we take a break?
Let's take a break. Refill.
And then I have a song, and I kind of want to share it with you guys.
So, we could either could or we couldn't. If you want, I'll sing you a song, and then you can decide if you want to sing your song or not.
That sounds wonderful. I would love that. Yeah.
Okay.
Why don't we just do some little acapella stuff?
Hell yeah. I've never done an acapella either, so.
So yeah, it's gonna be first, you know. You sing
really get my phone,
just a little ditty, even if it's just like 4-line stanza, you know. It's like
I'll sing you
something, sing
I gotta find my phone because I don't remember.
Hum a little tune, you know. We can do that.
I feel like that's good.
I'm like, if you had like a Cajun box track.
No, this is great. I actually,
It's kind of fun.
I just told you, I was like, I've never done this before. Like, first off, I've never sang music. I've sang music in front of people.
Yeah.
I'm probably like, I did it all in my 20s, and I did a lot of this idea of playing in front of one person, playing in front of 3 people, playing in front of my family, you know, like just like showing them like, hey, I would really love to show you the song I wrote, and like the nervousness, and like sometimes it like you have to tackle it, sometimes you don't, you know, like sometimes like, it's not the right time.
Yeah.
And I've been rediscovering it since I've been making music again. I've been discovering when is the right time to, I'm like, I was telling you guys about this song, but I was like, ooh, do I want you to listen? Do I want to listen to it with you together, or should I just send it to you? And like, hey, you should just listen on your own, like, because it makes me nervous about like here, you know, like watching you listen. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't know if you're like, I'm just springing this on you, like, hey, do you want to hear my song? And then I'm like, well, they're not going to say no. So now I'm like captivating an audience. Yeah. So like, I don't want to do that. Mm-hmm. You know, like there's all of these so many things, like thoughts, right?
Yeah, seriously.
But I had discovered all these in my 20s, and I kind of like didn't have them for a while. And now I'm re-having them as I'm like making music. Okay. I'm like, oh, I remember this feeling of like, oh, I hope they like it. Or, oh, what are they going to say? Or, oh, you know, like, how do I feel? You know, all of these like things that go along with the creation of art, and then especially the letting go of art. Yeah. There's the creation, and God, now my brain's like fucking going. But there's also like some people like want to create art, never show it to anyone. And that's also, there's that's beautiful. You don't have to share your art. You just create it forever, and just like, this is my therapy, and then doesn't go to anyone. Speaking of like throwing it away, like, absolutely, who cares? You know, like, so there is a beauty in that too. And absolutely. Like, to me, like, at the end of the day, there's no right or wrong. There's no, like, when art is just, you do what you do. You do, yes, and, absolutely. But yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's all just, it's so, you know, and it doesn't even have to be for the public eye. It doesn't have to be for review. It's just to share it without anybody judging, or, you know, or just purely to share it, you know, and saying, I don't need your input. I just want to share this. Yeah. Yeah. It's like shutting off comments, and a lot of people that are, you know, sharing things on social media, or sharing things for likes, and feeling any type of way, feeling affected by the amount of likes, the number of likes, to a picture, a song, anything of themselves they've shared, their body, their mind, their music. There's no weight to that unless you define it as such. Right. There really isn't. So if you're looking for that, or you're basing how you feel off of that, you might be disappointed. You should not. You should not. I tell people that I know, just don't do that, because what are you getting? Who cares? You know, really. And that's just how I feel about it. You know, say you share something you love, and you get 2 likes, and you're affected by it. There's it's and then you're just down. It can destroy. You know, it can equal what you mean for it to equal. So I encourage, you know, honestly, I don't encourage people to put any weight to that. Yeah, because there really isn't any. There isn't any if you define it as such. Likes, really, put it out there and just turn off commenting, and just say, this is what I want to share with the world. Cool. And then you can soar to the top of the mountains with how you feel about it. Bam. Does not matter. And even if you do put it out there and people say, I don't like it, and blah 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 blah, how you feel about it, ultimately at the end of the day, is what matters the most. Right. You can get 5 million thumbs down and say, I love this. This is my art, and I created it. Right. I don't give a fuck what people think. And at the end of the day, what you believe is what matters the most. Yeah. So you can discount everybody's opinions, but you really should do anyway. So.
Well, so that's how I feel. I feel like it's like the torment of the artist, like the journey. And like with social media, it's been it more puts a magnifying glass on the same things that artists deal with. It's just like what is the purpose of your art? Well, I want to share with the world. Do you need to share with the world, or could it, like, whoever hears it could, like, or could you be happy with that?
Yeah.
Like what is your ultimate goal? Oh, like somewhere, like, I want to be famous. Why do you want to be famous? Like, do I want to fuck a lot of pussy and have a lot of money?
Yeah.
Do I actually have songs that mean something and I want to, like, just share the world? And almost all of the bands I've ever played with have some sort of middle ground in some of that. I do like the pussy that comes with it, but I also have a lot to say. You know, like all the, you know, so there's this huge swath of the middle, right?
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
And then you have to, like, when you're asking yourself, but like, I don't want to share my, like, I don't want to keep doing, like, say for example, Twitch Live. I don't need people to, like, I don't need to get to a certain level because I love the craft. Okay, but do you want to do the craft only in your bedroom? And does that make you happy?
Yeah.
If it does, then just keep doing that. If it doesn't, like, do you want to do it for a living? Right. Then you're like, oh, well, I want to do it for a living. Okay, then you're going to have to share it. Yeah. Okay, well, now that you have to share it, now you have to deal with the negatives. Oh, fuck, I don't really like the negative. I don't like, oh, fuck, people, all of these, like, it's like this push-pull of this, like, and then you're like, what am I doing it for? Yeah. Is it about the art, or is it about the attention? Fuck, I mean, I ask myself this all the fucking time, and I'm like, a little bit of both. Yeah. Half the time. Absolutely. I'm like, dude, I want people to see me in my outfit singing my song. So, like, but also, I have things to say that are important. So, you know, like, I've always been this, like, person that finds myself tormented about, like, how I share the stuff.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, yeah, but, like, if you just got caught up on the one, you'd be like, don't let that. It goes back to like, don't let those 3 thumbs down deter you from sharing your fucking art. Right. Like, dude, you want to share it, and like I do believe that, like, and I have believed this for a long time, but I was like, I think that when I create art that I feel really enjoy, I think it inspires other people. Yes. And it inspires me, and I like it. And then I've heard those things back when I was in church and when I was just, like, writing shit. Like, so I know that this, and one of my favorite things is inspiring other people. And the only way for me to inspire other people is to do it fucking in public. And so, like, because if I just do it here, like, so I have to do, I'm like, I have to put my shit out there. And then I know that I will inspire other people to do the same. Right. And, but for me to deny, I'm like, do you have selfish intentions sometimes? Absolutely. Yeah. Like, what do I do with that feeling? I don't know.
Yeah, you gotta put yourself out there.
Yeah, but that was
Otherwise, how else do people know that you're there? You know, they have to know that you're there.
Open this up.
Well, and honestly, you know, with the development of every social media platform, has been this, you know, people that knew they were cool. You know, it's like, I knew I was cool back in the day. And then you get to, like, show the world how cool you actually are, you know. So and that becomes a thing. Like, I'm actually so cool. Yeah, and you can say, I'm taking a bath right now. You can share. I made myself this. Look at this bomb ass meal I made. You know, you can share things with the world. Yeah. With the whole world that you weren't able to share with before. You know. Mm-hmm. So I remember back when thinking, you know, I'm so cool. It'd be great if the whole world knew, you know. And then now we can't, you know. Now we can, you know. Now we can say this to the whole world. But it also became a platform, back to our subject, from which you can share art. You can share things from your soul. But also, a big thing that comes from that is one of the things that I take from my art that I share is a copyright. So you have to be very careful what you share, because that can be stolen from you. that can be taken, that can be
creative property,
marketed, that can be so
property.
Yeah. So there's this whole.
But if you share it, is there not a timestamp?
I don't know. I'm not exactly sure.
Like, so,
I think so.
Have you ever heard of
yes? In
have you ever heard of the poor man's copyright?
I have not, but I'd love to know. Tell me about this, because if we're talking about this giant volume of art I just brought, then absolutely there are timestamps on.
Okay, so what
awesome.
So I
what's written
when I recorded my first songs when I was like, I don't know, 18. They're terrible. I just want to put that out there. They're atrocious. but people are like, oh, you need to spend money on copywriting this song. That I thought people would steal because I thought it was great, but no one's stealing that song. But instead, you timestamped it by sending a copy to yourself. And so now you have a public record of this thing. But I think that, I'm just saying this as like somebody who hasn't looked this up in a long time. But when you put something out there, you're like, hey, I wrote this song, and you put it on Instagram, you have a timestamp of that Instagram reel. You're like, I created this. And so if somebody blows up with that song and you're like, no, I wrote that first. And then if nobody has a previous iteration of that should be that should work in copyright courts.
Know that, okay.
But this has been explained to me when I was very young, and I it's probably, I don't even know if that's right. So you should Google this after this conversation.
It makes sense. It makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've put a couple of poems out there on social media platforms, but I've essentially been very hidden about who I share it with. So so I'm not super worried about that. However, before I put out certain stuff, especially if I know it in my mind, if I am defining it as this quality or putting it to music to something that could come to fruition in the future.
Right.
I'm very careful, which I think is a good idea.
Maybe doing it, like, figure out how to do it as an NFT, because it's like that's like a single copyright. So it's not reproducible. You have you can't use it for anything else.
Yeah,
and I think that those are pretty easy just to create. Like, that's like an app or something. Maybe NFT everything that you send digitally.
I like that. Like, hey, stay away from my stuff, motherfuckers.
Yeah, for sure.
We can collab, but you can't.
Not you.
No, sure.
Not you guys, but
I met a guy one time. This is more business, but he made me sign a NFT before he was just like, we were stoned together, and he was just like, I just need you to sign this, and I was just like, oh, okay.
I'm about to share some like creative shit with you. I love that so much.
I smelled like weed with like I was like, do you think that I'm about to fucking make a business out of it? I'm like, all right, well, yeah, no, I'm for sure to sign it. I am definitely not creating business.
Good for him. Good for him.
For sure, yeah. I think he was overprotected, but
good for him though. This is the same. So this is a good subject.
Yeah.
It's a great subject for people who are creating art that know. I feel like this just comes from this space within that knows that you have something quality and creative to share with the world. So that's big. You know, if you feel like you need to protect your work, that's
for sure.
And it's a safe place.
Yes,
right?
It does. Where you say, "I have this."
Yeah.
Exactly.
We used to get way more nuts here, like back in the day. Like 2 years ago, we were fucking just. We were like, we have turned down quite a bit.
Yeah. Once I started living in my garage, it helps too, because it contains all the noise. So like, I'll bring like, if a couple of people come over, I'll just like, oh yeah, we'll just kick it out there, and I have the couch and whatever.
Sick. Love it. Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, it was like bad out there, pass out there.
Okay, I gotta find. Okay, I'm gonna try this out.
Okay.
Back. We'll see, there's those nerves. So I'm going to explain first. I started writing this song just as the way to figure out my producing. I started working with Logic, and then I got this melody. I was like, na, 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 na. And then I started writing. I had these couple lyrics that I had. I was like, okay, let me put this chord progression. And then I was like trying to figure out the beats. I was relearning Logic, which is like the music recording platform, and all of a sudden I was like, ooh, I really like this. And I was like, I think this is a song. And so now I think this is the first song I'm going to release. But the premise of the lyrics is all about, I would say, coming out of a cult, or coming out of, for me personally, but coming out of a box, like being stuck in a box and then being tempted by something greater. I don't know if I need to say all that, but I guess I'm just nervous to say this song. Okay, I'm just gonna do it.
Yeah, active listening.
I could see you in the moonlight, taken by the dark side, letting go of all you've known before, drifting deeper in the midnight, lost inside the low tide, crashing with the waves along the shore. Bow down, bow, bow, bow. Bow down, bow, bow, bow. Bow down, bow, down, bow. Bow down, bow, down, bow. They will curse you for your daring. Pharisees are staring. Never trade your fires for chains of fear. Frozen echoes of their scornings, choking on their warnings. Close your ears to all that noise you hear. Man, I'm not good at that instrumental. But that's how it goes. So take a walk with me, my darling. I'll show you what you're missing. Colors that explode beyond your eyes. So pull the curtain back, exposing secrets they're concealing. Take my hand, this world's for you and I. You and I. For you and I. For you and I. Take my hand, this world's for you and I. Bow now, bow now, bow now, 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 now. I've never done that before.
That was so good. That was so good. Yeah, that was fucking awesome.
I'll show you the one after that when we're done with this. I'll show you where it's going.
Yeah, I love it. The instrumental is awesome.
Yeah, you're
Instrumental.
Yeah.
Like, and knowing where it was going, like, that's super pretty.
That's one of the things that I'm like, what you were talking about earlier was just like the instruments is what made that click for me. I was like, the hook of the instrument was where it was.
Right.
Wasn't even, I mean, I have the lyrics that I want, but I want that, like, and then, yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. But, wow, that was hard.
That was that was so much fun though. That was really so much fun. That was so much fun though.
You're welcome to do it. You don't have to either. This was a
no. It's just so that was so
also,
wonderful.
I feel like now that he's creating more music, you should come over maybe and just like sometimes it's not about collaborating on one piece. It's just like what is that dual play? What if there's like a word for it? Would be like you could just be like let's work on our solo projects together.
Collaborate.
Just,
like, it's a collaboration.
You know,
collaboration is just like such a beautiful like coming together like music, voices, like, and sometimes like you never know what added piece someone might have like to what you have already to like
One of my favorite things is the word collab. I think I have it on the vision board I have, which is collaboration over competition. But one of my favorite things about podcasting is it has to be collaborative. Like, especially if you're like, what are you going to do? You're going to do it by yourself. And then you invite a guest on, like, and then as you grow, like all of my favorite podcasters invite other guests on and then they have them on. It's like, it's collaborative by nature. And I feel like some art forms or some art communities tend to be like a little pinky up or elitist, or they're just oh, you didn't do like when I did photography, they're like, oh, you want to be a photographer too? You know,
like or they make assumptions. Yeah.
There's gatekeeping.
Yeah. These are my models.
But blah, blah. Versus like podcasting by nature was just very collaborative.
Yeah, I definitely feel that too, and I feel that art is something that should be shared. It should be shared, and you see a lot of artists, especially when they create something huge. You see a lot of people, and it's this cliche of the manager and the blah blah blah, and everyone taking a piece of pie.
Yeah,
you know.
But a lot of the people that like really are sustainable people really embrace the collaborate. Dude, one of my favorite like big time artists right now, and I don't even listen to him, is Jelly Roll.
Okay, yeah, seriously. Talk about breaking the things. Yeah,
the amount of people that he's just like, oh, I want to make this song with him, and I want to do this, and I want to bring this guy in.
Cool. He's just like, I like celebrities that are like, fuck yeah, my life is dope right now. I'm gonna try to do the most fun.
Exactly. Yes, that's actually
And I'm very inspired by him too. He's just like, I'm 39. I'm at the Grand. Like, have you ever seen a 39-year-old win the fucking CMAs? He's like, holy shit, you know, this is insane. And I was like, I'm 39. I can still do it. And to be fair, he's doing it a long time, but like it's just it's like I do think you can make it at any age.
You absolutely can.
You can. Like, I don't think
you can make through any societal norms.
Jelly Roll, but like what I like about it is just like he just
seriously.
Yeah. And one of the other things that I just saw recently is just like he's just like, I just had my song sample or like Eminem took my track and made a song on his album, and he's just like I have been looking up to this guy for a long time, but he's also really friends with MGK, and they both have beef.
Yeah,
and he was people like, how do you handle that? And he's just like, I just tell him what I feel, and I was just like, I think you guys need to put that shit aside, you know. And he's just like this like gentle soul, you know. I mean, it was like I think you're both beautiful human beings, and you need to like put that shit aside.
That's funny. Well, absolutely. It's like what do they call that? Mediator, yeah. Which I think is really good. I mean,
but so he.
But that's good though, because he does. You know, I feel like he does represent. You know, that you can be any shape. You know, any size. You know, and your voices.
Yeah, and speaking of like, so he has this collaborative nature, but he also talks about he's like, don't let yourself. Get taken short of by record labels.
Yeah, record labels.
These are bad deals. You know, like yes, if you have a good manager that will help you along, like 5% might be nice, but like also, or if you collaborate, like for me, if I ever wrote a song with anyone, I determined this a few years ago, but I was just like, dude, if you sit down in a room with a friend and write a song, doesn't matter if you wrote 70%. It's 50-50. You know, it's just like if you sat together and wrote a song together, it's 50. Fuck it, 50.
Yeah, it's straight up.
And like, and this is where it's more of just like, dude, stop worrying about the fucking numbers. It'll come. Yeah. You know, even if somebody takes a little bit of like that exchange,
they did some things for you.
You're gonna get the next.
It's that age old, and really, it's just an
and I think he has that, but then don't give it all away for a record label.
Yeah, or make sure you are looking at contracts. Yeah,
for sure. So a little bit of those.
Old. Yeah,
it's kind of like what we were saying earlier. It's just like always be giving with those love, like
be aware.
But be aware that some people might.
You're giving.
Yeah.
What they might be taking
I love from trust and love everyone, but never sell your sword.
Yes.
And absolutely. That's just a good way to live.
Truly. I feel it too. Yeah, I do.
What you got? You ready?
I know. I'm feeling it, you guys. You feeling it? Yeah. So, I've been studying a lot of what do I want to say? A little bit of Alison Krauss, a little bit of the voice of the neurons that I've been getting into, some Patsy Cline, which is, very, very soulful. I've been feeling a little bit of Broadway plays, you know. So, so I wrote this little ditty. So let's give it a shot. You guys ready?
I'm ready.
1, 2, 3, 4. Baby, let's hit the streets. Baby, let's hit those sheets. You're lying next to me, and there's something that I see. You on top of me. That dick stands like a tree. Enthusiastically, when you go down on me, I can't even see orgasmically.
I love that.
Yeah, you told us it was
Maybe I have, but you know, there's a little bit of a chorus, but there's you know, I was just singing this the other day, but the chorus had something to do with love being a superpower.
Yeah.
And you know, sex being meditative.
Yeah.
You know, so sex being something that you take, you know, couples, and I believe this is something couples should do, is take you know, entire days and just have it be enjoy each other, absolutely, hours of, and it doesn't even and it's
speaking of language.
you can
What session we do like
and and you wonderful, I'm so glad that you can and just very much I believe very much in thinking your energy into a spot, so you can have someone, you know, you can have someone kissing a spot and just focus your energy into the spot they are kissing, and
skin is erogenous.
Yeah, and have them doing the thing there, and it's very much change the location, spice it up, change where you're at, but to make it a date, make it something where you are very much in tune with each other. And I feel like that's something that a lot of couples lack these days, is they're falling out of tune, you know, with each other. And I feel like if more couples were in tune with each other and doing this as a practice.
Dude, that's
That's so nuts because
it's such a thing. It really is a thing, and I'm finding more and more that like meditatively.
I'll be on camera when I say it, but so we do we take some Molly, and it's just like a slutty good time. We get like real deep in our feel talk. We just appreciate each other.
Yes.
We're hot for each other.
Oh my
And like
God.
so like I'm like we lean into like the slutty side in the first, because we've been doing it for like we've been together for 3 years. We've been doing it.
Yeah.
It's like a monthly fucking date night.
Yes.
So I feel like other couples should do that. It's like scheduled sex seems so lame, but it's not, because that goes back to you want to have put it in the book. So you want to have it, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that so much.
Yeah, like one of the things about scheduled sex, especially if you're like scheduling like this kind of connection where you're like, okay, we're gonna turn off the phones. Like, say for example you had kids, you're like, okay, we're gonna mom's taking the kids, like this is this day, so all of the things of the world, turning off the work, turning off the if you have kids, turning off the kid, you know, like putting that aside, turning off of all of the other things. I mean, like we take drugs together, and I love that. Like you don't have to do that, but you like the whole amount of time. But it's just like, dude, for 24 hours,
it's not focus.
It's intentionally focused on each other. And exploring, like, I think I'm very into sexual connection as being like a reignition of like the entire energy of a couple,
of a connection,
but even if it wasn't like necessarily sexual, maybe it's a little more intimate. Maybe it's just more like cuddling.
Yeah.
Maybe it's more just like walks, like, maybe, oh, hey, we took this.
Yeah. Maybe there's 10 minutes of venting. Maybe you just let some stuff out, and then you reconnect.
Yeah, I wouldn't tell anybody how to do their amount of intimacy, but how to do it. A scheduled amount of intimacy.
Yes, exactly. How to do it is up for so for any type of perception.
Yeah.
But absolutely.
You take your car in for scheduled maintenance. You should care about your relationship enough more than your car.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Actually, seriously, that's a priority. It's a priority. Yes, and I feel as though that focused attention.
Yeah.
The focused intimacy. The focus, like, what do you need? Like, how can I pour into you?
Mm-hmm.
Like, is there an area of you that is is your back hurting? Is your Do you like, and even if they don't know it, is your dick hurting? Do you want, is your dick hurting? Do you need it a rub?
Is your pussy hurting?
Is your pussy like aching? What can I do for you? Can
I? Dude, I will say, I want to say, dude, I love how sexual your lyrics are. I was just like, dude, like,
I love so much.
All about.
I love that we just like, I know that my lyrics will like turn into sexual conversation.
So I like the soulfulness of it, but like one of the things, The Weeknd, like, dude, the amount of just like explicit lyrics that
I hear him, I listen to him too. I know.
No, dude, I fucking love it.
It's good. Yes, it's good. Yeah, seriously. Hi, you guys.
Dude, I have a couple sex songs that are coming.
Yes, I love that so much.
Like,
and I feel like anymore too. And the world needs more of this. The world needs more of this. And couples need more of this. Couples really need more of this.
Even throuples. They need more of it too.
Everybody. Yeah. Any connections. Anybody that's sexually active needs more of this.
Yeah, for sure.
It absolutely does, because I often feel called to sing lyrics or to write lyrics about others that I know. And it can be about their connection or my connection with them, or I just feel called to sing the things I love, And so more of this is coming out. And there's a certain, there are people that would censor such things,
Sure.
Certainly, occasionally you feel called to censor certain things in certain places.
And I've always personally, I push back on all that. That's why I kind of, I'm aggressively offensive sometimes because I push back against censorship. But at the end of the day, I'm like, no, dude, I wanna write this song about sex, and I should be allowed to write this.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I feel like censorship sort of gives us the permission to push back. It does.
Yeah.
It does.
But yeah, like when we first started the podcast, you're like, can I, is there anything I can say? Yeah. I'm just like, dude, even if I fucking like had the YouTube, like nobody cares about but like I said, even if I was making money in YouTube, and then they're like, oh, if you say this thing, you don't make money. I'm like, I don't, like, it doesn't matter.
Well, I think anymore, it really doesn't matter. And anymore, people are feeling this compulsion to speak their minds.
Yeah.
100%. No.
I mean, this is one of the things of the American dream. It's just like the freedom of speech, the freedom to express yourself how you see fit. And when I was growing up, was like, oh, we're religious. You're not allowed. Like, oh, how dare they show skin here?
Absolutely.
How dare they show the couples?
Yes, and I feel
let people do what they want. I think it's like as I get older, it's like more of the libertarian argument.
It absolutely is. And I feel like my
do what they want.
Absolutely, and I feel like my compulsion to hold back has to do with this modesty, churchy feel that it's not womanly to express yourself sexually. There's this compulsion to hold back, and a lot of women are feeling this these days. Like, you can't be sexual. It's against the church. It's
yeah.
Oh,
yeah. I mean that. I feel like that comes from like our it's like the Christian nature of
absolutely.
Of
It's
America.
ingrained. Yes, and there's yes.
Did you feel as much in Iceland? Speaking of traveling,
yeah, I did. Did I feel like any type of
sort of sexual repression? Because I feel like they're a little more cultured. They're getting people from.
They absolutely are. They are. And honestly, one of the things I learned is that they are because Icelandic is so ingrained to be inclusive that they actually have to find out or make sure that anyone they're seeing is not a relation.
Yeah. Okay. Oh shit. That's funny.
Yeah. And so there's actually
there's a cousin podcast.
Let me see your 23 and
there's a joke about it in the apparently there's a movie about it. That's you. Yeah. Apparently, there's like yes, a registry or
that's
something.
funny. Well, because like
the movie that Will Ferrell and them made, she keeps saying, "I'm probably not your sister." And she's like, "She's probably not your sister." It's because
closed off for the
it is absolutely honorable. And it's an absolutely honorable ideal.
Yeah.
However, it's there.
It's one of the things you were saying about when you were in Iceland. You're like, oh, it's like hoping to meet this guy that would like kiss me on both cheeks as a stranger, and that's considered very French, right? Like it's kind of. But I think there's other areas in Europe that do it. But French people are like way more open in like their sexuality. Like they just have a very different culture as they progress as a country. And the U.S. in general was, very Judeo-Christian conservative values. You cover up. Yeah. You don't like
sexuals. Yes.
Yeah. You just hold all that down. All this stuff. I do think it's a very Judeo-Christian value that we have in the States that not every country has. And I haven't been to all the countries, but like there are countries that are a bit more open. Some are, if you go to the Middle East, maybe it's a little more closed, like you just have all these.
Absolutely. I feel like so. Yeah. I feel like so. Those beliefs trickle down in a way that can be very like minutely felt. Like it may not represent itself quite so soon, but it is an aspect of the female thinking that if it was ingrained even just a little bit, that there is a part of us that will believe it. So, we are a product of our conditioning. And so we may have been conditioned with just a little bit, even if it's just a minute little bit of this belief from the past, and I feel like that cannot be discounted. Yeah. It cannot be discounted. And I've confronted that as an adult, and encountering the world as it is today is just sure. You have to be aware of this conditioning that could be present, and that could be a part of your thinking that affects you nowadays. So something to keep in mind, because there are so many things that have been passed on to us from our ancestors that we might not even be aware of. Right. We're thinking of the present times, and we're seeing this lens of all these people and all things they're doing and all these changes. And there have been several changes. If you look at the 1900s to the 2000s and the degree to which technology and the degree to which everything has affected us from then until now, there's been a vast change. It's almost incomprehensible. The amount of change, especially technologically, that has been imprinted upon us. The things that were possible then that are possible now weren't possible then, possible now. Right. There's just this huge change. things that our grandpas and grandmas are looking at this world and shaking their heads.
Yeah, like, what the fuck?
You see this and you
saw the internet.
And they just and they see youth and how youth has changed. It's just very, very many changes. Yeah. Some good, some bad, and it's all a matter of perspective and how are you taking that. But there's just a lot. It's a lot. Again,
one of the things that I like like what you're saying about you're saying earlier about like just being introspective, and that's one of the things is art helps with, is like processing feelings and emotions. And so when some changes happen, or like you're talking about how some things are passed down generationally, like, so when you feel something flare up, and like, so for me personally, like when I feel something flare up inside of me and I'm like I don't like that, and then I like what introspection, like what if I think about it or journaling or whatever, like, why don't I like that? And then you start asking yourself, like, is this inside me? Like this happened the other day where it's just like somebody said something and I'm like, I don't like what they said, and I like wanted to be upset at them. And then I was like, oh no, it put a pressure point on me. And so I like people, or I feel like being introspective and thinking about how you see the world and thinking about your knee-jerk reactions then helps you process, like, wait, was that from an insecurity? Was that something that came from my parents? Was that just like a knee-jerk reaction? And so like finding these moments, not exactly where I was going with it, but like it helps me process it, because sometimes I like have this, I'm like, I don't like that, and fuck that shit. And then if I were to process, I was like, why don't I like that thing? I was like, oh, was I just scared of change? Was I, scared of a little, oh yeah, things are a little different, and I wasn't, I got a little lost because I didn't understand what was happening. Yeah. And then,
well, I think that honestly, that the whole, everything you just said to me brings this huge beauty to introspection. Like when you said the word introspection, like that just brings back again, like the beauty of looking at it. Like, they say, and I love this quote. It's there's no beauty to the unexamined. Like the unexamined life is not worth living. The unexamined life is not worth living. So if you're not looking at the way that you are living, and people have their different varying views on that, but everything you just said is so much introspection, which is actually so much beauty. Yeah. So so I see everything that you are reacting to, everything that you are doing. And there's a beauty to that. That means that you're soaking this information. That means that you are developing your own, you're developing your opinion about it, and it's in and of itself is beautiful. Yeah. There isn't enough focus, I think, to being introspective, to looking at, say you look at something that someone, and this is just an example, someone posts online, and there can be so many different opinions of that. Boom, this is beautiful. It's beautiful piece, and in your mind you think, this is beautiful, but you can sit back and think about your experience, and if you were there, you can think, well, maybe I smelled, maybe it affected my sinuses. Maybe I was having some allergies. Maybe it wasn't this to me. And what you perceive it to be is exactly what it is. But that's to you to determine. So this gives you this great God power that you have to determine and define what that is in that moment. Yeah. So, you could say, I had a bad day, but you could also say, my goodness, look at this day. Yeah. And you could say, I went to this place and I smelled this thing and I did this thing and it was absolutely gorgeous. So it becomes you. It's this power of God that you have. Yeah. Every one of us has this power. Yeah. To define things as they are. Yeah. And define as we see it. As we see it. Exactly as we see it.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah. This goes back to like when you were saying about like the get like argument, like you decide if it's a good day or a bad day.
Exactly, you do.
And yeah, and I mean, of course, you have things that might bring you down, but then you decide how long it's going to bring you down.
Absolutely.
And you could decide whether it's going to be a day, a week, a month.
Yeah.
And it's not to mean that you're not sad about some things or you're not happy about some things, but.
And it may just mean that I was tripping shrooms and I went to a world. I may have just gone to a world now and then it was off the subject, but I love that I did that. You know?
And
it was captured on video. It might just mean that,
yeah.
But
dude, I'm so you sang the song.
I just straight up, you guys, I did. Did I sing it? I sang that shit. I sang it, and you know what, you guys, it was sexual, and we talked about sexuality. And honestly, sexuality is so like, okay, can we talk about that for a minute?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Let's talk about sexuality. You know, sexuality is such a fun subject because the female, especially, you know, the female sexuality is just like, and I felt this like, this present moment sexuality for me is this lioness, like I'm the lioness, and this is sort of not preying on men, but it's been this like huntress, you know.
Oh, I get it, but I mean I've been a hunter my entire life, so
yeah, so hunter.
Yeah.
So when you think about the huntress, you know, and you know, there's this like there's agility, so there's this running. So some nights when I'm out about and I'm going out dancing, and there's this like, I think of like this lioness like tongue like licking, like there's just like am I gonna devour this man, like there's this like prey, like hunter, and there's this seriously hunter and prey, like intention, you know.
Yeah.
And I feel like as women, I feel like this, and I always feel a link to the past, and I've been trying to determine what is the link to the past. You know, what is this? Because I know the caveman, I know the caveman link to the past, and I've heard of this like somehow, you know, like men, and they want to, and there's a breeding, and they want to make sure their seed exists on. Yeah. But then there's this huntress, like this lioness, like desire. You're like, yeah, or you know, and nowadays I feel like it represents itself as this just like I don't want to say mating ritual, but you know, a lot of people are just, you know, are having sex and they're just enjoying the hell of it, you know.
Yeah, as they should.
As they should.
Dude,
it's like
I love that.
Yeah. You know, but it's just, what are you hunting for? Are you trying to, you know, so it's just like hunting.
With respect.
With respect, absolutely, because you know, it's also this inclusiveness of, you know, I don't want to mate with. There's this like, especially with females, you know, you have a lot of men throwing themselves at you from this side, you know. So it's, you know, it's just, yeah.
Well, I like that. First off, I like that because almost all men I know. Oh, damn it! What was that?
I know, like I'm like, oh, like, how much do I find?
The last two, I can give.
Is it this one? This one?
Yeah, I'm gonna.
This is the beauty of doing this, you guys. Have you guys like?
Dude, I told you.
Now I'm like, you guys are like,
dude,
you guys have seen this before, haven't you? Like where you're like, this is a badass that we like to capture.
I told you we get rowdy at the end.
I know. Now I'm like, is there a climactic moment?
No, the one thing, we don't. have to go forever.
No, we can do whatever. I know. This is just,
I do like this conversation just because
take a great conversation.
Men
seriously, because
So men in general talk about sex as a prowl.
Right.
So I like that you like it. Like it's not a. To me, it's not a violent word. It's just like we are all animalistic, right? So we're just like we're like looking after. We're looking for what we want.
Yeah, I
hunt is. Yeah. And so there are times when somebody's like, "Oh yeah, I'm hunting something for tonight," versus I am hunting long term. Like I'm looking for stability, but like the animalistic word is a hunt. It's just like I am hunting for this. And it could also be really cute. Like we were hunting Easter eggs. Like
just like it doesn't have to be.
It was a little bit of a hunt. Like,
it doesn't.
The female game has always been that of defense.
Yeah,
that's really all we have.
And I like the offensive nature.
Defense, like we did, it's like because I feel like most guys come at you so much that they're just like, all right, I don't have to go.
Seriously, I'm
that's why I'm like doesn't mind asking a guy out first though. Also, I'm not I'll put it out there.
Seriously, and like off tape, like I have been lately exhausted by the amount of male interest, and I've been like literally like I said, exhausted. Like I have been like rejecting men so often.
I always think it's
as a single female.
It's flattering, but when it's a friend, I'm like, hey, respect our connection enough to not fuck with, make it a problem that you want to fuck me. Don't make me your rejection bigger than our friendship.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's why, no. I appreciate that input.
Like, everybody take their shot. I'm like, good for
seriously,
you. Seriously,
I appreciate that input because, like, I've had men that have been so pushy that when I don't reciprocate, they've been guilt tripping, and I'm like. Like to tell them to fuck off has felt so liberating lately. I'm just like, I'm like, I cut my life. Like I tell them to fuck off. Like, and I'm like, I feel so good. Like I didn't owe him anything to begin with. And I'm like this is so great. Like, it's been so liberating. Like again, so liberating. And men, especially when you're a pretty single female, can throw themselves at you so much that when you finally are like, fuck you, you're like, yay! Like it just feels so good. And I hope you guys have this. I have this off tape, but like it really does feel so good. But
I feel like people need to say that shit.
Well, and honestly,
I really do. Like I don't think this is embarrassing at all.
Off tape, it doesn't. Yeah, it does need off tape because a lot of females need to feel more comfortable saying "fuck you."
That's like what I hate.
God damn it! And this is. And it's okay to have me as a starter because as a people pleaser, I'm like, fuck. Like, I'm like, this is exhausting to like, but to have had this be the pivotal point at which I say fuck you is huge for females that have a hard time with it or, and afterward, it can take a week, a couple of weeks to say, I feel so refreshed without that energy of this person pressuring and there is a freedom to it that wasn't felt before.
I feel like we forget as women that it's not rude to say, hey, I don't
or like you're not being a bitch.
Like, you're not being
by saying like I'm, and especially I had some perspective put into it that was I'm worth being friends with. Like, like, you know what? I'm worth being, like, if a dude can't be friends with you, please, like, I'm a badass. Like, if you're not, like, okay with being friends with, and you're, like, so hooked every single time you meet a female, like, it's a weird world when everybody around you that's not hooked up wants to be hooked up. And there's this desire. It's like this. It's so strange, and I'm sure you guys have seen it. But like, it's like this, like. But when a female steps up, and I've been settling into this space of being a friend, and that's okay. And if the guy doesn't reach out, I don't care. It's so cool.
Yeah.
I'm bummed out sometimes, and I'm like, oh,
it's yoga, fuck space, and
Yeah.
So it's like, and you know how people think you should care, but you don't. Like I should care about this, but like I don't. It's like the people that are like, I should look pretty on social media, but like I should care, but like I don't care.
Yeah. But you know what works actually is the people that don't care, and actually not caring really helps you.
Feeds the energy.
Space.
Yes, I feel it too. I feel that energy too. I feel that energy too. Is just like, it feeds that, like, especially why you shouldn't care, because everybody is absolutely beautiful the way they are.
Yeah.
And you guys, I don't know if you're getting this on tape, but like I saw this the study of these girls that were on this island, girls and guys both, on this island, and it was an island of they were native, living off the land, growing their own vegetables, raising their own meat. And when you introduced the idea of models being skinny or being a certain way as being the ideal, they took that. So there's this, when you take an idea and you introduce it to someone, that becomes something in their brain that becomes real. It creates a reality. And so they all started acting a certain way. They all started eating less of the food that was provided. They all started acting in a way that would have to be the ideal of a model or what people expected them to be.
I don't stand a chance. We got fucking Instagram now.
Yeah,
shit.
That's wild.
Right, but they wouldn't have had that.
Yeah.
Never would have.
Right.
Never.
Yeah. It's kind of like
the idea hadn't been introduced.
Yeah. Do you know what's the philosopher of Narcissus? Or not? He's not a philosopher. the god Narcissus. So Narcissus is the person who saw himself in the mirror, the water, and once he sees himself in water, he now has to think about how attractive or unattractive he is and how he appears.
Ego is born then.
Ego, and he's just like, like before reflection, before seeing the mirror, you just are. You just are. You just do the things.
Yeah, can you? Yeah, and there is a little bit of human interaction where there's it's unhealthy to be obese. There are certain human interactions that interfere with that idea, but it all has to do with the idea of the power of suggestion.
Mm-hmm.
Like you wouldn't have thought that if I didn't suggest it.
Yeah. And the power of suggestion can be really good or really bad.
It's extremely powerful.
Yeah.
Extremely
it's great as a bartender. I'm like, so does everybody want tequila? And then if I say it,
and it's
rack them up.
Wait, how about what if we do Hendrix or
exactly.
You want to go on gin?
Oh, you said gin and tonic. You want Hendrix?
You want Hendrix?
Yeah, sure. Just saying a word.
Saying a word. I did suggestion Tito's. You want Tito's?
Yeah.
You have to tell them what they want. They won't know.
What if somebody says like,
they won't know.
And then I'll be like,
no.
I don't know the high ends of a gin, but like when people are like, like give me something nice to get. I was like, if you had 1942, I'm like,
you're gonna do it on Helio.
Okay, cool. Well, here's $40 a shot. Thank you.
Yeah, I want to buy many shots on Helio all around.
Yeah.
Bam. It's done.
That's why like the bar is like the ringing the bell. Have you ever seen that at a bar? Oh, if you ring the bell, you buy a round of shots for everybody.
No, I did not know that.
It's a good power of suggestion technique because you're like, if you ring this bell, you're the man. So like ringing this in the big sign, ringing the bell gets a round of shots. And then you look at that and you're like, I want to be the man. But like, I wouldn't have thought of that if I didn't see the bell.
Yeah.
Nor I'm like,
the one where the money is a flex.
Is there 8 people here? Yeah, I can afford that. Bing!
Or even silently at the shed they have
the guy that's the flags. You always the guy that's the flags. The flags and the money.
Like at the show, they just have like buy a or buy a beer for like the back of the house. So like that's not a menu item. And like that's just like I feel like that's like for the people who are like, oh yeah, I'm gonna like it. There's quiet flexors too. It's just like giving people can't do it if there's no option.
I had never thought about buying a beer for kitchen staff until I saw it at the shed, and I was like, oh yeah,
it's all over. Yeah, it's a flex. Yeah, it's straight up a flex for people.
No,
it really truly is.
Dude, I have to pee again, but we should probably wrap this up. What time are we at?
It looks like
we don't have to wrap this up. I'm having a good time.
Is this run time? 7:21:02. 1:17:42.
Oh no, we got canceled all of them. I gotta pee. So, all right, we're gonna wrap this up, and then we're gonna just hang out.
Yeah.
Do you have anything you want to plug?
Not necessarily. We shared a lot.
Yeah, we did share a lot.
We did.
Yeah. You're gonna introduce your music to the world pretty soon.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. All right, love you all.
All right.
Nobody.